Hello, good evening all. You are welcome to yet another section of our training on financial literacy. Basically, today we are going to discuss about the lesson 3, which is our lesson 3 is that you should mind your own business. Mind your own business. That is our lesson 3. Mind your own business. So basically, you can see over here, and what revolves around that lesson 3, minding your own business, is that the rich focus on their asset columns, while everyone else, that is the term everyone else simply refers to as the poor and the middle class, they focus on their income statements. You remember from our previous lesson, that is lesson 2, we were able to bring out a graphical representation of the financial statements of a poor person, a middle class person, and then for a rich person. And then we've already discussed what an income statement is, that is comprising of both your income and your expenses. And then we also discussed what a balance sheet is, which comprises of the assets and your liabilities. So what this lesson 3 is talking about is that the rich focus on their asset columns, while everyone else focus on their income statement. So while everybody is just trying to get job, let's get salary, look for how we would get more salary to ourselves, the rich are focusing on how to acquire assets that will serve as their own employees, to be working for them, to generate money for them, as against you using your physical power or physical strength or physical body, just like how the poor and the middle class are doing. So that would be the center of our discussion for today, that is minding your own business. But the term mind your own business simply means you should be able to get your own business that you are doing or that you are controlling, and that your business revolves around your asset column. So you need to be minding your own asset column. That is what minding your own business means. So rather than concentrating on developing the asset column of another employer or your boss or the government, what this law is saying is that, this lesson is saying is that you should concentrate on your own asset column. That is those things that brings money into your own pocket, that you are the owner or you are the person who is controlling. So whether you are currently employed, as you are doing your job, you should be minding your own business. That is, you should have your own business that somebody out there is running for you. Well, if you don't mind your business, it means you have made yourself to become a perpetual slave to your employer or the government. So that is our center of discussion for today. Financial struggle is often directly the result of people working all their lives for someone else. Many people will simply have nothing at the end of their working days to show for their effort. You can just clearly see it. You've seen a lot of people who worked for civil service for 30 years, 35 years, but at the end of the day, nothing to show up for. Their pensions are even being delayed before they get it, and even their gratuity. Some people have done 6 years, 10 years since the last time they retired from their employment, but up till now, their gratuity is not yet paid. So all this struggle that you've been doing for that 30 years, working for civil service or working for one employer, at the end of the day, you would have nothing to show up for. And that is the reason why you need to start minding your own business from now. So even if you have intention of working, you just prefer working for somebody. As much as you are working for somebody, try and get your own investment, try and get your own business, try and get something that will be bringing money into your own pocket, aside the salary. And that can even be a guarantee, so that anytime, any moment you are being retrenched from that work, suspended, or even fired. You easily have something you can run back to. But when you just keep on concentrating on your own salary, and once the job is not there, your whole world crumbles. So the problem is that you often become what you study. So if you study cooking, you become a chef. If you study the law, you become an attorney. And a study of auto mechanics makes you a mechanic. The mistake in becoming what you study is that too many people forget to mind their own business. They spend their lives minding someone else's business and making that person rich. Let me give you a very good example. I am a legal practitioner. I studied law, and I was trained to be a lawyer, to come and work for somebody. So all this while I'll be working for somebody for like, let's say 30 to 40 years. I'll be working for somebody just trying to help that person develop his own law firm. But what I will be seeing there is that, after this also years, I'll be promoted, my salary will increase. After this also years, I'll be promoted, my salary will increase. I'll become a partner, I'll become a... At the end of the day, you are just helping another person to develop his own business, because it is not your own business. No matter how much the person is paying you, you should always understand that if it is your own, you can earn as much as that person is earning. That is the difference. If it is your own, you can earn as much or even more than what your boss or your employer is earning from his own company or from his own business. But school do normally teaches us, okay, specialize. You become a doctor, go and work for a hospital. You become an engineer, go and work for a construction company. You become a lawyer, go and work for any government agency, or go and work for any company, or go and work for a law firm. You become a nurse, or go and work for a hospital. School will not teach you to be creative. School will not teach you to, okay, if you graduate or after graduating from the university, you should be thinking of establishing your own hospital as a medical doctor, or you should be thinking of establishing your own pharmacy as a pharmacist, or you should be thinking of establishing your own law firm as a lawyer, or you should be thinking of establishing your own construction company as an engineer or an architect. But what school drives our mind to is that finish, get a job, work for somebody all through the days of your life, use your sweat, your blood, and everything, help the person to develop his own business, and at the end of the day, you are the loser. You retire and there is nothing. Yes, you were able to build one house, buy 2 cars for your own and for your wife, pay your children's school fees, and that is all. You have nothing to show up for again. So to become financially secure, a person needs to mind his or her own business. Your business revolves around your asset column, not your income or liability column. It is not those fancy cars that you buy that you feel that they are your assets. It is not buying 4 different houses in 4 different locations without tenants who will be generating income for you. That is an asset. That is not an asset. It is just a liability. So the more you concentrate on buying, I buy a house here, I buy a house in another state, I buy a house in that state, I buy a house. All those houses are just empty. Nobody is living inside that house. In fact, income is not even generated. There is no income generated from all those houses that you built. You have 10 cars in your house. You change cars every day. In the morning, Monday, you have a different car. Tuesday, you have a different car. Wednesday, you have a different car. At the end of the day, it is just draining your pocket. It is sucking your blood because you'll be working hard in order to be maintaining these cars. And that is liability. It is not an asset because it is removing money from your pocket rather than bringing in money into your pocket. So rather than become the poor masses and the middle class that concentrate on their income statement and liability column, because the poor masses normally concentrate on their income. As for the middle class, they concentrate on their liability column, thinking those things are assets, which are actually not assets. So you should concentrate on your asset column rather than your income or your liability column. The primary reason the majority of the poor and middle class are fiscally conservative, which means I cannot afford to take risks, is that they have no financial foundation. They have to cling to their jobs and play it safe. Can you see? It is not that some of them, most of them, if you ask them, they will say, I have the intention, I want to do this business, I want to do that business, I want to do that business. But the will to go ahead and do that business is not there. Why? Because they lack that financial foundation. They have no that they lack that financial literacy. They are not literate financially, and that is why they feel as if it is a risk. But for you, who knows the in and out of financial literacy, there are certain risks that will be, there are certain things, investment that will be considered as risks by the poor masses and the middle class, which you who are financially literate would see it as a very short ticket to getting huge income, because you find out that for you, the risk is very slim or limited compared to how people who are not financially literate would see it. So one of the main reasons net worth is not accurate is simply because the moment you begin selling your assets, you are taxed for any gains. So many people have put themselves in deep financial trouble when they run short of income. To raise cash, they sell their assets, but their personal assets can generally be sold for only a fraction of the value that is listed on their personal balance sheet. Or if there is a gain on the sale of the assets, they are taxed on the gain. So again, the government takes its share, thus reducing the amount available to help them out of the debt. That is why I say someone's net worth is often worth less than they think. The example I gave you, one person having 4 different houses in 4 different locations within the country, and he feels that all these 4 houses that are not occupied by tenants are his assets. Okay, tomorrow if he has a problem, maybe one of his child has a medical problem which will need operation, a huge sum of money, he will feel, I have a house that I can sell and easily settle that issue. But what that middle class person does not know is that once he sells that property, let's say he bought the property for 10 million naira, and then after 3 years, he wants to sell that property. What he does not know is that he would have to, first of all, subtract the money he has been using all these 3 years to maintain that house, because money has been coming into his pocket to add up to what has been there already. He bought it for 10 million naira, but perhaps within that 3 years, he might have expended an additional 1 million naira for maintaining that house, which makes it 11 million. And then secondly, he may likely not be able to sell it for that same value, because it depends on the urgency of the matter. If it is something that he needs to sell instantly, then it means that he can never sell it for that 100% value at which he bought. He would have to reduce the price from 10 million naira to probably 6 million naira so that he can get someone who would pay him fast. So you can see how he has lost about 6 million, he has lost about 4 million naira from what he earlier on thought was an asset. And any gain that he would get as a result of selling that asset, selling that house, he will be taxed on that gain. And then start minding your own business, keep your daytime job, but start buying real assets, not liabilities or personal effects that have no real value once you get them home. A new car loses nearly 25% of the price you pay for it the moment you drive it off the lot. It is not a true asset, even if your banker lets you list it as one. So once you go out, you buy a car. Let's say you bought the car for 5 million naira. The moment you come back home with that car and somebody says, and then you feel like you want to sell the car, you can never sell it for that 5 million naira. Even though you just drove it once, you must have to reduce the price. You may likely end up selling it for 4 million naira, losing 1 million naira on it. So you can see that that new car, you felt, I bought a car, it's an asset. The moment you bring it back home, you can never sell it for that price. And it's a simple thing. Even it applies to all other luxuries. You bought a phone today, BlackBerry phone, iPhone, you bought iPhone today for 1 million naira. If you want to sell it the next day, you can never sell it for 1 million naira. You have to sell it for lesser than that price. So you can see buying liabilities that would depreciate in value rather than buying assets that will generate income for you. The option is left for you to choose. So you shall have to keep your expenses low, reduce your liabilities, and diligently build a base of solid assets. In the rich man's world, real assets fall into the following categories. Number one, businesses that do not require your presence. You own them, but they are managed or run by other people. If you have to work there, it's not a business, it becomes your job. So number one type of assets that the rich men normally concentrate on is business that do not require their physical presence. They are the owners of the business, but you would never see them there. The business is entirely run and managed by other people. You have nothing to fear. This life, everything in this life is risk. Somebody will say, why will I just go and invest my money, keep somebody there to just spend and waste my money? If you keep on thinking of negative things like this, that is when negative things will come around. Because even the job you feel you are secured is also a risk. Because anytime, any moment, your employer can remove you from that staff role. So it is equally a risk on its own. So is it not better to take a risk that if it turns out in your favor, you become a winner, than clinging to that job that, I only have job, I can only save money in the bank. I don't even want to invest, because if I invest, some people will eat my money, some people will what, some people will, even in that bank, Yahoo boys can steal your money and nothing will happen. You may actually withdraw the money to go and do something with it. Armed robbers may meet you and steal the money. So there is nothing you will do in this life that does not involve risks. So which type of risk do you want to take? Is it a risk that if it turns the other way around, you will be the winner? Or is it a risk that in both sides you will be the loser? Because even if you have that job, they are paying you, you are already a loser because you are a slave to money. And then even if they come and terminate your employment, you are still a loser. So from both ends. So check at businesses that would not require your physical presence, because it will enable you to have time to go and establish other businesses. That is what rich people do. Establish this business, keep people to manage it for you, and then you go ahead to start establishing other businesses. Keep on expanding. That is the game. It is very interesting. The moment you establish one, you start working towards establishing another one. You keep on expanding. And before you know, millions will start flowing into your account monthly from different sources, having multiple sources of income. Another type of asset are stocks. When you buy a share from a company, they are referred to as stocks, most especially if they are sold at the stock market. You can buy a share with a company, leave that share there to grow. Next 5 years, 10 years, when it appreciates in value, you can sell it and get your returns. Or you can even buy a share as a shareholder, whereby you can be receiving your dividends at the end of every year. Can be a major shareholder every year. When they are sharing their profits, you will equally receive your own percentage according to the number of shares or the value of shares that you have with the company. And then another type of real asset are bonds. This one is just a form of like a borrowing government money. You can, they refer to it as bond, as a bond agreement. You sign an agreement with the government, you give them government money so that they will use it for other things, and then they will subsequently pay you with interest. It is also a very good way of investment, and it is an asset. The fourth category of asset is income generating real estate. The real estate, one of the finest. Build a house, put in tenants, and the tenants will just keep on producing income for you every year, and that's how the house will be there. So real estate is equally a very good source for real assets. And then we also have another category is notes, that's IOUs. We also have royalties from intellectual property such as music, script, and patents. If you just sit down, spend one day, produce a video, upload it on YouTube, that video will be there for the next 5 years, 10 years, generating money for you, even if you're not there. Or if you write a book, you actually just spend 1 year to write that book. After you write that book for that 1 year, that book can be selling for the next 10, 20 years, bringing in money for you year in, year out. Or if the same thing with music, sing the music now, people will keep on buying it, people will keep on downloading it, even when you are not physically there. So it is a very good example of an asset. And then any other thing else that has value or produces income or appreciate and has a ready market is also considered under the assets. So acquire assets that you love. If you don't love it, you won't take care of it. Also, when problems arise, the problems will not be so bad that it changes your love for that thing. If you hate that thing, don't buy it. So buy assets that you know you love, because if you love them, you will have the will to take care of it. And then also, in terms of starting a company, you should only start a company if you really have the desire to do so. Otherwise, keep your day job and mind your own business. Keep your day job and mind your own business. But if you have the desire to start a company, you can quit your job and start your own company. But if you don't have the desire to start your own company, then you keep your day job, be correcting your salary, but you should remember, mind your own business. Mind your own business. As the salary is coming in, make sure that you are investing it in another business, that someone is taking care of it for you. So when I say mind your own business, I mean to build and keep your asset column strong. Once a dollar goes into it, never let it come out. Think of it this way. Once a dollar goes into your asset column, it becomes your employee. That is what you should think, because what most people are doing is the other way around. Becoming an employee to money rather than money becoming their own employee. So once that money goes into your asset column, just look at it as if it is your own employee. I have sent you out there to go and work for me and produce more money for me. So even while I am sleeping, snoring, you will be working there 247. And the good thing about money is that it would work for you 247, 365 days, non-stop. But for a human being, how long can you work? You cannot work 24 hours in a day. You cannot work for 365 days in a year. So what you cannot do, your money will do for you. And that is why it is good for you to have this concept of minding your own business. The best thing about money is that it works 24 hours a day and can work for generations. Even when you are dead, your money will still be working for you. But imagine you only keep your own day job. You have no business, nothing. The only small savings that you have in your account. Once you die today, your family will suffer. But if you have a business that is already running, it means you have monies as your own employees who are working for you. So even if you die, your employees will still be there working to generate income for your own family, even while you are not alive. So keep your day job, be a great hardworking employee if that's what you want to do, but keep building that asset column. As your cash flow grows, you can indulge in some luxuries. Don't forget, if you are a salaried person, salaried employee, don't start with buying luxuries. Don't start with buying cars. Don't start with buying flashy things, jewelries. Start with building your own asset column. That is the best security you can get. That job is not a security. Anything can happen. That line of profession may no longer be valuable or relevant in the society. It may not be the fault of your employer. It may not be the fault of the government. But because a new field has been developed which has overshadowed your own former field, you may be out of job. Or like what happened during the pandemic. A lot of people lost their job because employers cannot keep on paying all their staff. It is only people who have their own business that were able to survive through that period. So be wise. An important distinction is that the rich people buy luxuries last, while the poor and middle class tend to buy luxuries first. The poor and middle class often buy luxury items like big houses, diamonds, furs, jewelries, or both because they want to look rich. But in reality, they may look rich, but in reality, they just get deeper into debt and credit. You think the person has 4 houses, 3 cars, but if you check his financial statement, you find out that the debt that he has is almost more than the assets on ground. But you feel as if, this person is a rich man. He has 3 cars. He has do this. He has do that. He has 4 houses. But if you sum up the houses and the cars all together, you find out that he purchased most of these things using debt or credit. He borrowed money to do them. So at the end of the day, he may look rich, but in reality, he is a poor man. The old money people, the long-term rich, build the asset column first. Then the income generated from the asset column buys their luxuries. The poor and middle class buy luxuries with their own sweat, blood, and children's inheritance. A true luxury is a reward for investing and developing a real asset. After you have taken the time and invested in and built your own business, you are now ready to learn the biggest secret of the rich, the secret that puts the rich way ahead of the pack. So these secrets will be discussed in our next lesson, that is lesson number 4, which is about taxes and corporations. So see you tomorrow on that aspect. But as a general recap as to what we've discussed today, always remember this: mind your own business. Whether you are currently an employee or you are unemployed, always remember, mind your own business, because that is where your security lies. That is where your financial security lies, and not that job or that salary that you are being paid by your employee. Thank you. See you all tomorrow.